this weekend, England will finally take on Samoa in the first game of a 2-match test series. So I thought I'd talk about the game and give you my predictions on this first game of the series. So, starting with England, I think the biggest benefit for them is that we'll have a better grasp of the ruck speed. Based on the plethora of Super League players available in this squad, there's some in the Samoa team, but depending on how the game's going to be managed by referees, I think we'll have a better grasp on the ruck speed. There's certainly some that can deal with it for Samoa, but I think generally speaking, the speed is going to be pretty well matched to England. So that's a good start. I would like it to be a little bit more universally understood, but it's at least an advantage for England. Next, I think on the kicking game, I think we do look to be clearer in that department. I think Harry Smith will be the recognised number 7, obviously. George Williams can take on the kicking game. I don't want him to, because I don't think he's very good at the general kicking game, if I'm honest. Short range kicking game, all day. Chip kicks into the corner if they're going down the short side, not a problem. But for general kicking game, please don't let him anywhere near it. I beg you. Harry Smith takes on full responsibility. Mikey Lewis has picked that up, so whether he is on the bench, even starts, I don't know what they're going to do in the halves, but Mikey Lewis can at least take on some of that responsibility as well. But Harry Smith should be fine controlling that. I think the biggest problem for England is when we're under a lot of pressure, when Samoa's jamming into the line, when Harry Smith's under pressure not being his usual Wigan system, when George Williams is put under pressure, Mikey Lewis, Jack Wellesby, when they're put under a lot of significant pressure, are we going to find something different to do? Are we just going to default to a very simple tactic where it's just chip kicks into the corner? Are we just going to try and do the same thing again and again and again? I think the biggest issue is just getting stuck in a constant cycle. Now, if we can break out of that, I believe players like Williams and Wellesby could do something different. They are two players that can change the outlook of an attack. They can do. So as long as Harry Smith keeps taking on that kicking game, I'm trusting Williams and even Wellesby to do something different if something is required. So that's the most important thing for England, first of all, and the biggest threat. Moving on to Samoa is they just need to be patient, I think. I think the start just needs to be very clean, very basic. They don't need to rush. So whether they kick off or not, the first couple sets that they trade is just, obviously, hard runs. That goes without saying. Clean when playing the ball, good handling, a good long kick into the corners, and a strong chase, and then disciplined defensively. It sounds very basic, but they just need to start that way. Get into a rhythm, just doing the basics well, understand the flow of the game and the pace of the game, and when they kind of get used to it, then they can start opening up. They can just be patient. Just get an idea of what the game should feel like. You're in for a lot of these guys, they're in a different country, different pace, so just be patient, stick to the basics, and then open up as the game goes on once you're used to it. So that's the first thing. I think what the NRL does particularly well is that they use the edges to get a lot of field position. We have seen a lot of teams in Super League, they start to do that more. So Wigan have done that a lot this season. Warrington have done it a lot more. That's Sam Burgess bringing that from the NRL. But there's a couple of teams in Super League now that they will spread the ball earlier in the tackle count because they realise that if the defensive line isn't set properly or players are just a little bit too narrow, then they'll just start attacking the edges. They're not looking for a try on that play necessarily, but they can go to the second rower, they can go to the centre, they can get a bit of leverage on their opposite numbers and just get that extra field position. Roderick Tyers used a lot like that for Warrington, particularly this season, and Jake Wardle for Wigan, for example. But the NRL, they do a lot of that. And I think if they just keep going to the edges, good hard work through the middle, set the platform, and then just use the edges for that field position, you'll be in the strike zone plenty of times. And I think the area where England can be caught out, I don't think it's like kicks in behind, because I think we're used to a lot of that here. I don't think it's going to be the high ball necessarily, like they're 50-50s really, you can't really teach for that so much. But I think it's going to be moments where Jerome Luai's engaging the line, or Blaise Talangi's engaging the line, whoever it might be, Tuivasa-Sheck, Anthony Milford, they're engaged at the line, they're either expecting a ball out the back or a looping ball over the top, which they'll certainly do. But I think some of our players on the edges, second rowers, centres, maybe even standoffs, will just misread some of those lines. And there'll just be a little flat pass. I can imagine a couple times in both games, we'll see it. It's just Luai engages the line. Williams maybe steps out, a little bit out of position. Maybe Bateman. Maybe even Harry Newman. Just a little flat pass from Luai. Right in front of the try line, and they're in. I think that's going to be our biggest threat, especially in the red zone. But when it comes to the back and forth, I think England's ability to manage the speed of the game, I think the kicking game is going to be better. The kick chase is typically pretty good from England. I think just the handling, the environment, I think England's well drilled enough. So Samoa can certainly win this game, but I think most of the advantages lean towards England right now. And unless Samoa come up with a performance that dominates against England or does actually beat us this week, then I'll have to consider how I view things for the next predictions video. But my prediction this week is going to be England 22, Samoa 18. So if you have your own prediction, do let me know in the comments down below. But that is going to be it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.